If you're somebody who's looking to learn the front lever, I developed a secret technique that makes training for it a lot easier. And this is a technique that I have never seen anyone use before. I probably invented it, maybe, if nobody else has done it before. Along with the other tips and progressions in this video, you're gonna go from 0 to full front lever quicker than you've ever before. In this video, it's gonna address a lot of common challenges that people go through when training the front lever. The biggest one is that each progression feels like a huge jump in strength and skill, and you have no idea how to go from one progression to another without making drastic changes. And a lot of the times other tutorials, you need extra equipment such as bands. Here in this video, you're not gonna need any of that. Secondly, people struggle to increase their hold times, and they seem to plateau at about 3 or 5 seconds. Lastly, it's just knowing how to progress. For me, I personally had trouble going from single leg to straddle until I invented a secret technique to help me get to the full front lever. Of course, before training the front lever, you need to make sure you meet the prerequisites. You should be able to do 10 to 15 pull-ups, along with 15 to 20 inverted rows. You also want to make sure that you have sufficient core strength, so you want to be able to do 10 to 15 toes to bar leg raises. Since you're at this part of the video, you probably meet the prerequisites. So let's just jump straight into the progressions so we know what to do first for our front lever training. The first progression you'll want to learn is the tucked front lever position. Not only is this the easiest front lever progression, but it's also going to give you the opportunity to master your technique. To get into this position, whether you're on a high bar or low bar, you want to jump up almost at the top of a pull-up, and your hands should be about shoulder width apart, or whatever width you're comfortable with. Once you're in that top position, lean back by straightening your arms with your knees tightly tucked to your chest. You want to actively engage all of the muscles in your back and in your core to become tight in order to hold the position. As sort of a mental cue, attempt to squeeze your shoulder blades together. They might not meet all the way, but it's the intention that we want to have. We also want to make sure that our scapulas are depressed, meaning they are pushed back and down towards our waist. You also want to pretend to break the bar with your hands by externally rotating your arms. This is going to engage more of your back, and you're going to get a stronger hold in this position. The next progression after the tucked position is the advanced tuck. This is where you slightly untuck your legs and your feet are aligned with your body. If you find this progression to be too difficult from the full tuck, it helps to do front lever raises. This is going to build strength in that position by doing more of a concentric motion rather than pure isolation. After the advanced tuck, we move on to the single leg variation. This is where you have one leg fully straight and the other leg is in the full tuck position. When you're training the single leg, make sure to do an even number of sets so that you alternate which leg is straight, just to avoid any imbalances. If you're struggling with this progression, it also really helps to do negatives. To do a negative, you want to bring your body up to the bar and assume the position of whatever progression you're working on, and then slowly lower your body down, trying to maintain that lever and resist gravity. This is going to allow you to momentarily hold the position you want for just a second, which is going to build that strength over time, and eventually you're going to find that you're holding that middle position longer and longer. Once you've mastered the single leg, the next progression is the straddle leg. This is where you spread your legs apart, which is going to shift the weight closer to your hands. Now, one of the problems that I have with the straddle is that it's such a drastic jump from the single leg variation that it's almost impossible to go from one to the other. And thus, I introduce to you the secret technique. In order to perform the secret technique, you are going to want to master the single leg variation. So I recommend getting up to that level and then coming back to this video and trying out the technique. This technique is designed to go from single leg to full front lever and skipping straddle completely. It's something that I implemented and it's worked for me to get to the full front lever very quickly. So what is this secret technique? Come here. Using your bent leg to adjust your body's leverage. So, for example, after the single leg variation, adjust your bent leg so that your front foot is against your knee rather than being fully tucked. It's almost like the advanced tuck position. Once you get comfortable in this position, then you want to try putting your heel against your knee. And you can see from this, you're slowly extending your bent leg forward, shifting the weight closer and closer to your feet, making it more difficult over time. After the the heel against the knee, you want to position the arch of your foot against your calf. After that, try putting your front foot against your ankle. Then once you get comfortable with that, put your heel against your ankle, and then you're going to do heel against heel, which is just the full front lever position. Congratulations. This is a slow and steady technique for progressive overload that takes you from single leg to full front lever without the straddle variation. Not only does it create 5 more progressions for you to use, but each progression is so much more gradual that there's no huge jump in strength and skill, and your body will be able to adapt more easily to the load. And because of the very specific foot placements, each measurement is more measurable because you know exactly where your foot is placed in relation to your leg. Of course, you don't need to strictly follow these progressions. You can invent your own by adjusting your own foot, so long as you just remember what position your foot is in. Side note, if you're training for the front lever, it's a really good idea to take a break once in a while. So don't be afraid to take it easy and come back to the move when you're refreshed. So, putting it all together, I'll give you guys a couple tips to help you in your guys' practice for the front lever. For one, you should be able to do each progression, including those 5 micro progressions, for at least 10 seconds before moving on to the next one. That way, your body is comfortable in the position. Secondly, if you want to increase your hold times, try the bodyweight drop set. You want to start with the hardest progression that you can hold, and once you hit about 2 to 3 seconds left in the tank, immediately adjust to any previous progression beforehand until you reach the full tucked position. This is going to build more time under tension, you're going to be in the position a lot longer, and it's ultimately going to bring up your endurance. Lastly, you don't want to just be doing isolation exercises to train the front lever. Things such as front lever raises, inverted rows, and even doing negatives will help you to build strength in the front lever position without ever doing the front lever. Of course, the front lever is an intermediate to advanced skill, so you are going to need a solid foundation before you start training. Otherwise, you might want to learn some easier skills if you're a beginner. If you want to check out what the best skill is to learn for beginners, then you can click right here.
Single leg negative 45.
Oh, frick. A bee! It was a bee!
I know.
There was a bee!
Did it bite
in
you?
my B-roll! Ah!